For 3,000 years, humanity chose peace. The wars of the old world had ended long ago, and their scars were buried under shining cities and fields of quiet green. Generations had lived without hearing the roar of cannons or the cries of soldiers. To children born in this age, the word war was only a history lesson, a dusty memory of a past too cruel to imagine. Humanity grew wise, and humanity grew soft. They built ships that reached distant stars, but not for conquest. They built stations that hung in orbit, but not for battle. They built machines of great power, yet used them only to heal, to feed, to create. Across the galaxy, they became known as the peaceful ones, the species that had no hunger for territory, no thirst for blood. Alien civilizations saw this peace and mistook it for weakness. To them, a race without armies was a race ready for chains. And so the whispers began. The council worlds called humans gentle, naive, almost childlike. Empires with claws and fangs laughed at them, calling Earth a garden with no fence waiting to be harvested. But humanity remained silent. They did not answer the whispers. They did not argue or defend their honor. They chose silence as they had chosen peace because silence was easier than reminding the galaxy of what once had been. Yet silence cannot last forever. It began with shadows at the edge of Earth's skies. A fleet approached, metallic beasts from beyond the rim. They carried banners of an alien empire that had consumed 100 worlds. Their ships blotted out the stars as they drew near, and their message was clear: surrender or burn. To the invaders, this was no war. It was a hunt. They expected no resistance, no struggle, no fight. They believed the humans too peaceful, too fragile to stand. For them, it would be swift and bloodless. But beneath Earth's soil, buried deeper than the roots of mountains, old systems stirred. Forgotten tunnels lit with a glow unseen for millennia. Machines woke from their long slumber, their metal bodies humming with power. The ground trembled faintly, though no civilian noticed. The elders of Earth knew what this meant. For 3,000 years they had guarded the secret. They had sworn never to speak of it, never to reveal it unless the day came when silence was no longer safety but death. That day had now arrived. The people of Earth watched the alien fleet descend. They saw the bright glow of weapons aimed at their cities. Fear spread, yet still no armies rose, no missiles launched. To the aliens, it seemed proof that humans were too weak to resist. To the humans, it was the last calm before the storm. In one city, a boy asked his grandfather, "Why are they here? Why do they want to hurt us?" The old man's eyes darkened and his voice grew heavy. "Because they do not remember," he said. "And because we have tried too hard to forget." Above, the alien commander sent one final demand. His voice was cruel, echoing through every channel, reaching every home. "Humans," he said, "you have lived in peace for too long. You have forgotten how to fight. Kneel and perhaps some of you will be spared. Resist and you will be nothing but ash." The humans gave no reply. Their silence stretched on, heavy and unbroken. But silence is not weakness. Silence is waiting. On the alien ships, strange readings appeared. Energy surges pulsed from the surface of Earth, signals in frequencies older than their own empire. Weapon scanners failed to explain them. Old records held no answers. And deep within his mind, the alien commander felt a chill he could not name. The humans watched as the stars grew dim behind the invading fleet. Mothers held children close. Fathers stared at the sky with clenched fists. Across every city, people whispered the same words, words they had not spoken in 3,000 years. Is this the end? No, it was only the beginning. The world beneath their feet remembered what their minds had tried to forget. It remembered fire. It remembered rage. It remembered the time when humanity was not peaceful but wrathful, when the universe trembled at their advance. And now, as the first alien weapons lit the sky, humanity's long silence cracked. The choice they had held for 3,000 years was broken, not because they desired war, but because war had come to them. The age of silence was ending, and the galaxy was about to learn why humanity should never be disturbed. The alien fleet circled Earth like vultures above a wounded animal. Their ships glowed with cruel light, each weapon ready to strike. In their arrogance, they believed victory already belonged to them. To them, humans were a quiet race with no armies, no defenses, no fight left in their blood. But Earth remembered. Far below the surface, in tunnels carved before history was written, machines stirred. For 3,000 years they had slept, hidden by design, erased from memory, locked behind codes only a few guardians still carried. These guardians were not soldiers but keepers, men and women who passed their duty from parent to child, never explaining the truth, only reminding them, if the sky burns, you must awaken the fire. Now the sky was burning. The first alien blasts struck Earth's atmosphere. Shields hidden in orbit, disguised as harmless research satellites, came alive with a thunder that shook the invaders. Beams of light met alien fire, bending it, scattering it, burning it away. The aliens snarled in disbelief. Earth was not as unarmed as they thought. In a hidden chamber beneath the ruins of an old mountain, an ancient council gathered. They were not rulers, not presidents, not kings. They were the last descendants of the First War, the war that had almost ended humanity itself. Their faces were lined with age, but their voices carried steel. One spoke. "We swore never to use it again." Another replied, "Swearing means nothing when our children are hunted." A third whispered, "If we release the fire, we may never control it." The room grew silent. They all knew what was at stake. The galaxy thought humans were peaceful by nature. That was the lie. Peace was not natural to humanity. It was chosen, forced like a lid pressed down on a boiling storm. For 3,000 years they held that storm inside, and now the lid was breaking. The aliens launched their ground forces. Shuttles dropped through the sky, their engines screaming as they descended into human cities. Soldiers with blades, claws, and armored hides poured onto the streets. They expected to find panicked civilians running, screaming, bowing. Instead, they found eyes staring back at them, calm, unblinking, waiting. In one city, a woman stood at the gates of a university. She wore no armor, no weapon, only the coat of a teacher. An alien soldier snarled, raising his blade. The woman did not move. Then, the ground beneath them split open, and from the depths rose machines of war, giants of metal with human symbols etched into their frames. They had waited centuries for this day, and they came alive with a roar that froze the invaders in place. The woman whispered, almost too softly to hear, "We are not weak. We are remembering." Across the planet, vaults opened. Weapons older than alien empires emerged from dust. Engines that once shook the stars ignited again. Some humans cried out in fear of what was being unleashed, but others felt something deeper, a memory buried in their blood. The forgotten fire was rising. On the alien flagship, the commander stared at the battlefield with growing unease. His forces were stronger, faster, bred for war itself, yet they stumbled, faltered, froze under human resistance. He could not understand why. These humans were not armed with the newest technology, nor did they have the numbers. What they had was something his soldiers had never faced before: fury. Humans did not fight like soldiers. They fought like predators awakened from a long sleep. Every strike was savage, every move unpredictable, every shout filled with rage. And as the aliens watched, they felt it. Fear, raw and unfamiliar, spreading through their ranks like a sickness. Back on Earth, a young girl looked to the sky as flames streaked through the clouds. "Will we survive?" she asked her father. He placed his hand on her shoulder, his face grim but steady. "We are human," he said. That is enough. The invaders could not understand this. They had crushed hundreds of worlds. Every species had fallen silent under their heel. But now they faced something different. Not numbers, not weapons, but a will that refused to break. Humanity had chosen peace, but peace was not weakness. It was restraint. And when restraint broke, the fire returned. The alien commander sent out another broadcast, his voice sharp with anger. "Humans, you cannot win. Your tricks will fail. Your machines are old, your people soft. Lay down your arms before I burn this planet to dust." The answer came not in words, but in action. Above his fleet, something vast and terrible emerged from the shadows of space. A human warship, black as night, scarred from a war older than his empire, slid into view. Its weapons hummed with power not seen for millennia. The forgotten fire had awoken fully, and for the first time the alien commander felt a tremor in his hands. He realized then that the humans were not playing for victory. They were playing for memory, to remind the galaxy of what had once made them feared. The battle was no longer about conquest. It was about revelation. The forgotten fire was here, and it was only the beginning. The alien fleet pressed harder, their weapons hammering Earth's defenses. Every blast shook the skies. Every strike meant to remind humans that resistance was useless. Yet the humans did not break. The silence of peace had fallen away, and beneath it something old and terrifying was rising. From orbit, the alien commander watched cities flicker with strange energy. He saw human machines rise from the ground like phantoms, armored giants that should not exist in this era of peace. He had studied human history and thought their wars were long forgotten. But now, staring at the battlefield, he realized the history books had been lies. The humans had hidden their true face. For centuries, the galaxy saw them as kind builders, traders, healers. Their mask was perfect. They smiled. They spoke softly. They chose treaties over war. Other species began to believe that was their nature. Even the alien commander had believed it. But the mask was breaking, and behind it stood something far older, something violent, ruthless, and unstoppable. On the ground, alien soldiers clashed with human defenders. The aliens carried blades that could cut steel, armor that could stop most plasma fire. Yet against the humans it was not enough. One squad stormed a human district, confident they would take it in minutes. They pushed into narrow streets, their boots striking stone. From the shadows, a group of humans emerged, farmers, workers, ordinary men and women. None of them carried advanced weapons. Some held only tools. Yet when they attacked, the aliens staggered. There was no fear in their eyes, only fury. Every strike was desperate and wild, but also precise, as if some old memory guided their hands. The aliens, trained to fight obediently under orders, froze in shock. No one had told them what to do against an enemy that refused to surrender. An enemy that fought like death itself. One alien soldier dropped his blade and stepped back. He had faced dozens of battles, but never had he seen such madness in human eyes. He whispered a word his kind rarely used. Fear. Above them, the warship that had risen from Earth's shadows moved closer. Its design was alien yet human, sharp and brutal, built for destruction rather than peace. The invaders scanned it, trying to match its shape to their databases, but nothing appeared. It was older than their empire, older than their fleets, older than even their knowledge. The alien commander clenched his fists. How? He demanded. How did they keep this hidden? On Earth, the Council of Keepers met again. Their faces were grim, their eyes filled with memories no one else carried. One spoke, "The mask is gone. The galaxy will see us now." Another said, "It was never a mask. It was a choice, and that was the truth." Humanity had chosen to be peaceful. But peace had been a costume worn to protect the galaxy itself. The galaxy thought humans had grown gentle. In reality, they had been restraining themselves. The broken mask revealed the predator beneath. The alien fleet regrouped and launched a massive wave of fire. Explosions lit the skies. Whole cities shook, flames reaching the horizon. To the aliens, this was victory at last. Yet as the smoke cleared, human ships rose through the fire unharmed, their shields glowing like suns. In one ruined city, a child looked up at the sky, clutching her mother's hand. "Are we going to die?" she asked. The mother knelt, brushing soot from her daughter's cheek. "Not today," she whispered. "Not while we remember who we are." The alien commander felt the weight of every second. His fleet was larger, his technology newer, his soldiers more numerous. By every measure of war, he should have won already. But instead, his men were faltering, breaking under the pressure of human fury. Victory was slipping away, replaced by confusion, replaced by fear. He turned to his officers. "They cannot have this strength. It is impossible. They have not fought for 3,000 years, but in his heart he knew the truth. It was possible because humans had not forgotten. They had only hidden. They had smiled for the galaxy, but beneath that smile lay a snarl. Beneath the mask of peace lay the face of war. The battle raged through the night. Human warships cut through alien lines with brutal precision. On the ground, humans fought not only with weapons, but with willpower that no alien could match. Every act of defiance cracked the illusion further. The invaders had come expecting lambs, but they had awakened wolves. By dawn, the battlefield was covered with wreckage. Alien steel twisted, human machines burning, the ground scarred with craters. Yet the humans still stood. They were bloodied, exhausted, but unbroken, and in their silence there was a warning more terrifying than any shout. The mask was broken. The galaxy could no longer pretend. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not harmless. The alien commander, staring at the ruins, whispered to himself, "We thought they were children. We were wrong. They are something else, something older, something we should never have woken." And far away across the stars, other empires began to listen. Rumors spread on hidden channels, whispers carried in the dark. The humans are not what they seem. The galaxy was beginning to fear. The night sky above Earth burned like a furnace. Alien ships filled the heavens, blotting out the stars, their weapons spitting fire across the planet. They were desperate now, pressing every attack, determined to crush this rebellion of humans who refused to kneel. Yet the more the aliens struck, the more they faltered. Every battle brought them something they had never known before: fear. Human warships cut into their lines with speed and ferocity, moving like predators through a herd. The aliens had fought hundreds of wars, but never had they faced an enemy who fought with such rage, such cunning. The humans did not move as soldiers obeying orders. They moved as hunters, each one striking with instinct that felt older than time. On the ground, the streets shook with battle. Alien soldiers, armored in steel and bred for violence, marched through ruined cities. They believed their size and strength would crush any resistance. But everywhere they went, humans rose against them. Farmers with old rifles, engineers with tools turned into weapons, children throwing stones. None of them stopped fighting. One alien squad stormed a human stronghold at dawn. They fired, expecting the humans to fall quickly. Instead, a handful of men and women fought them tooth and claw, forcing them back step by step. An alien officer snarled, "Why do they resist? They cannot win." But one of his soldiers whispered, trembling, "They fight as if death means nothing. They fight as if killing us is not duty but instinct." And for the first time, the officer had no answer. Above, the black warship that had risen from Earth's shadows continued its silent hunt. It carried no markings, no name, yet its weapons burned with a fury the aliens could not match. Each time it fired, whole enemy ships vanished in bursts of light. The alien commander watched from his flagship, his claws digging into his chair. This was no ordinary vessel. This was a relic of an older time, a reminder of a war that the galaxy had tried to erase. He turned to his advisors. "We underestimated them," he growled. An officer hesitated. "Commander, perhaps we should withdraw." "Withdraw?" The commander's eyes flared. "From humans? A race that has not fought in 3,000 years? No, we will show them their place. We will burn this planet until nothing remains." But deep in his chest, a shadow of doubt grew. The humans were not fighting for territory. They were not fighting for wealth or conquest. They were fighting with something purer, darker, and more dangerous. They were fighting to remind the galaxy that peace had been their choice, not their nature. The first lesson was being written in blood. Never mistake silence for weakness. In one ruined city, a young human soldier stood among the rubble, his face covered in ash. Around him lay alien bodies, twisted and broken. He raised his weapon, his voice low but steady. "We chose peace for 3,000 years. But you wanted war. Now you will learn why we should never be forced to fight again." His words were carried across the battlefield, repeated in whispers by humans everywhere. It was not a threat. It was a promise. The alien soldiers who heard it felt their courage drain away. They had always believed war was their strength, that no race could match them. But now they understood. They had awakened something they could not control. The battle stretched into the next night. Alien fleets burned above Earth. Human ships struck with precision, retreating into shadows, striking again without mercy. On the ground, every street became a trap, every building a fortress, every human a fighter. The alien commander tried again to break their will. He broadcast his message across every channel. "Humans, your resistance is meaningless. You cannot defeat us. Lay down your arms or be destroyed." For a moment, silence filled the air. Then a reply came, not from the human council, not from a leader, but from an old woman standing in a ruined square. Her voice shook with age, but it carried strength. "We laid down our arms once," she said. "We swore never to lift them again. But you came here, and now you will learn the truth. We did not choose peace because we were weak. We chose peace because if we did not, nothing would survive us." Her words echoed across the galaxy, captured by satellites and relays. Every empire, every race that listened felt the same chill. The humans were not warning only the invaders. They were warning everyone. The alien commander slammed his claws on the console, rage and fear mixing in his eyes. He had wanted to show the galaxy that humans were lambs to be slaughtered. Instead, the first lesson was complete. Humanity had taught it not with speeches or negotiations, but with silence, fire, and fury. As dawn broke once more, alien wreckage rained through Earth's skies. Fires burned across continents, but the humans stood unbroken. The commander watched it all, his breath heavy, his hands trembling. He finally understood this was not victory for the humans, not yet. This was only the beginning, and it was the first time he asked himself a question that chilled him more than defeat itself. What happens if they decide never to choose peace again? The war had lasted only days, but to the aliens it felt like centuries. Every battle ended in confusion. Every strike answered with something they had not prepared for. The humans, once mocked as fragile, had revealed a truth more terrifying than any empire had imagined. The alien fleet still filled the skies, but it was broken now. Their ships bore scars of fire, their soldiers carried fear in their eyes. Whole units refused to land on Earth again. They spoke in hushed voices of human fighters who would not die, of machines that should have turned to dust long ago but still fought with unyielding strength. The alien commander sat in the dark of his flagship. Around him, the voices of his officers cracked with panic. "Commander, we cannot hold this battle line. Every time we strike, they strike harder. We are losing ships faster than we can replace them." Another officer whispered, "They are not fighting for victory. They are fighting to remind us." The commander slammed his claws on the table. "Remind us of what?" he roared. But even as he asked, he knew the answer. They were reminding him of what humanity truly was, what the galaxy had tried to forget. On Earth, the fires burned bright. Whole cities lay in ruin, yet the people stood tall among the rubble. Mothers comforted children. Fathers carried weapons. Elders whispered stories of old wars they had never dared to tell. The planet was scarred, but the spirit of its people was unbroken. In the midst of this destruction, the Council of Keepers met one final time. Their eyes were tired, their hearts heavy. "The mask is gone," one said. "The galaxy now knows," another nodded. "It was always going to happen. Peace can last only as long as no one tests it." A third spoke, his voice like stone. "Now the galaxy will fear us again, and perhaps it should." Above, the black warship, ancient, relentless, moved through the enemy lines like a shadow of death. Every blast it fired tore through ships larger and newer than itself. It was not just a weapon. It was a memory, alive and merciless. The alien commander watched in silence, his pride broken. He had come to conquer, but now he wondered if survival itself was still possible. He thought of the first message he had sent to Earth, when he mocked them for being too peaceful, too soft. The memory tasted bitter in his mouth. In his final broadcast, his voice shook. "Humans," he said, "you have proven your strength. But why hide it? Why pretend to be weak for so long?" The answer came from a human captain aboard the black warship. Her face appeared on his screen, calm, steady, without a trace of mercy. "Because peace is harder than war," she said. "Because for 3,000 years we gave the galaxy a chance to live without fear of us. But you forgot why we chose peace, and now you will remember." The line went dead. Moments later, the black warship unleashed a single shot that shattered one of the commander's largest vessels into nothingness. Across the galaxy, empires and councils watched the battle through stolen transmissions. What they saw silenced them. They had always believed humans were harmless. But now they understood the truth. Humanity was not harmless. Humanity was restrained, and restraint once broken was more terrifying than any weapon. The alien fleet began to retreat. Not in order, not with honor, but in panic. Ships turned and fled into the stars, their formations shattered. Soldiers abandoned posts, commanders abandoned fleets. The humans did not chase them. They let them run. That silence was worse than pursuit. The galaxy expected humans to hunt their enemies down, to destroy them completely, but the humans simply stopped. They stood among the ashes of their ruined cities and watched the enemy flee. And in that silence, a message spread faster than any fleet could travel. Do not awaken humanity again. On his flagship, the alien commander wrote his final report. His hand trembled as he carved the words into record. "We thought them peaceful. We thought them harmless. We were wrong. They are older than us, stronger than us, more ruthless than us. For 3,000 years they chose peace. But if they ever choose war, nothing in this galaxy will survive them. When his ship limped away into the dark, he carried that truth with him. He knew it would spread. He knew it would haunt every empire, every ruler, every soldier who dreamed of conquest. Back on Earth, the fires slowly dimmed. People rebuilt their homes, healed their wounds, and buried their dead. Yet no celebration rang through the cities. The victory was not joy. It was a warning. A young boy looked to the horizon where alien wreckage burned in the sky. He asked his mother, "Will they come back?" She held him close, her eyes cold and distant. "Not for a very long time," she said, "because now they know." The galaxy had learned its first true lesson in 3,000 years, not to mistake humanity's silence for weakness, not to mistake peace for surrender, and above all, not to forget the one truth written in blood and fire. Humanity should be feared.